Welcome back, everybody. This Week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network. Great to have you with us on the program today. As mentioned, our special guest is Ryan Camana. He spent over 20 years perfecting the art of hypnosis and personal development. He's currently the president and founder of Dynamic Breakthroughs in Santa Barbara, California, which helps people break down their barriers to help achieve their dreams. He uses professional hypnotherapy to help people lose weight, overcome anxiety, phobias, and gain confidence. He also is a certified business coach who helps a variety of clients succeed in their given field. Ryan is the creator of the Gastric Hypno Balloon Program. That's what we're talking about in the program today. Ryan, welcome to This Week in America. Great to have you with us on the show.
Well, thank you, Rick. It's a great honor for me to be on your show here, and I'm really looking forward to giving your listeners the best information I can.
Well, and the website, and we'll be pointing it out throughout the program, is gastrichypnoballoon.com. You can always go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and link up with that website as well. One of the things, Ryan, you talk about is the fact that for most of us, we're actually programmed to be fat, and it usually starts when we're kids.
It does. It's the programming that we end up having in order, even starting as a kid, is usually through advertising. Big corporations do a lot, just a ton of advertising, especially to kids, starting out with cereal commercials, candy commercials, everything they can to reinforce this idea that food will make you happy. So over and over again, even starting when we're a little kid, we are programmed by big corporations to believe that in order to be happy, we have to eat something.
Yeah, we see it all the time, and I forget the number of times we're bombarded as kids growing up with commercial after commercial, and yeah, you relate happiness to food, and how often we turn to that when we're having a bad day, and, they got a name for it, the comfort foods. You talk about, and this is fascinating, that although we go through, especially people that have a weight problem, we go through our day multiple times telling ourselves we want to lose weight, we need to lose weight, yet it never happens. Why is that?
Well, the problem with losing weight is it really takes an enormous amount of discipline. And in today's world, especially here in the U.S. where we live, we are under more stress than we've ever been in the history of human beings. And it requires just a lot more discipline. Everybody, when they wake up in the morning, has a certain amount of, let's call them discipline points. And every time you do something, basically takes away one of those points. To brush your teeth takes a discipline point. To make sure the kids get off to school okay takes a few discipline points, usually because they have a few problems there. To not yell at somebody on the freeway takes some discipline points out of you. To check your email, to check your voicemail, to deal with all of the modern day things going on, your Facebook, your social media, all of these things require discipline. And many of these things just haven't existed in the past, which is causing a lot of people to, by 2, 3 o'clock, to be completely out of any sort of discipline for eating healthy. And that's one of the reasons we use hypnosis, because hypnosis doesn't require any discipline. It actually changes the unconscious patterns within your mind. We actually change using discipline from using discipline to using your actual identity. So we help people identify as a thin person who naturally eats healthy rather than having to use the discipline points. So basically, if you don't use something where you actually change your identity in today's world, it is nearly impossible to lose weight just because there's just too many other things that require your attention, too many other things that are taking away these discipline points.
Ryan Camana is our guest on the program. His website is gastrichypnoballoon.com. You can go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and link up with Ryan's website as well. And you talk on the website about how a busy day can actually lead to increased appetite, increasing our weight. You were just talking about that. How do we get around that? Say it becomes 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm having a really difficult day. I'm going through all that anxiety that you had talked about. I can make a choice. I can either give in and say, okay, tomorrow's going to be different, but right now I really need something. I really need that coffee loaded with whatever. I really need a candy bar or whatever. Or I can say, today I'm really going to do something sensible, and I'm going to go buy some carrot sticks or something, as odd as that may seem, but I'm going to find something that's good for me. How do we get where we make that right choice?
Well, Rick, what's going on with that by that 3 o'clock time is a lot of times the chemical cortisol is flowing through your system at a really high rate. And that's a chemical that's released by the adrenal glands, which helps you deal with stress. Now, when that cortisol level gets very high, it causes you to crave sugar and fat and salt. Those are the things that are what are necessary in order to burn a lot of energy, because your body thinks that you need to burn a lot of energy. In fact, what's going on is your mind has just burned a lot of energy with all the stress and all the hassles of today's the modern day. So what's going on? And the only way to really stop that pattern of going into the unhealthy eating, reaching for the sugar, reaching for the fat, reaching for the salt, is you have to take a moment to relax. And if you can take a nap, that will help recharge your body. It will allow those chemicals, those hormones to be processed in your body, and it will allow you to go on with your day with a number of replenished discipline points. Best way to put it. Now, if you can't take a nap, which is not really something that most of us can do, you can at least spend 15 to 20 minutes doing deep breathing, which has a similar effect on that. Now, of course, I recommend using a short hypnosis program, something like a 15-minute relaxation hypnosis program, which has the same effect as an hour-long nap with only 15 minutes of just laying back in your car, listening to it during your break or something like that.
You know, it's interesting, and we talked in the beginning about how the benefits of gastric bypass surgery without the risk. And let's jump in and talk about that. All the information that Ryan's talking about, Ryan Camana, our guest on the program, he's been involved over 20 years perfecting the art of hypnosis and personal development. GastricHypnoBalloon.com is his website. For so many people, they hit that end of the line. They think it's the end of the line, and they hear about gastric bypass surgery, and it's like, yeah, it's drastic, but it seems to work. Tell me how hypnosis will actually give us the same result without all the negatives.
Absolutely, Rick. Now, my problem was when I was...
yeah, and you lost 120 pounds, and you've kept it off.
Exactly. So I was in that same boat. I was looking around I had that option. What was I going to do? I needed to lose over 100 pounds. Usually when you need to lose over 100 pounds, you don't have a whole lot of options just because it takes so much discipline to do that. And I knew a couple of people who had gastric bypass surgery, and it worked tremendously well for both of them. However, both of them had gained back weight, and both of them ended up in the hospital a number of times due to all the side effects. And to me, that just seemed unacceptable. I was too worried about all the side effects and gaining the weight back after the fact. I knew that what needed to happen was I needed to adjust all of the different emotional things that were going on in my mind as well. Now, a lot of times people eat because of emotional problems they have, stress. But sometimes these stresses occur from something that happened to you when you were a child that you haven't resolved yet. And so what I've discovered is by using hypnosis, we can actually clear all of those negative habits you had, a lot of the emotional stresses that just keep kind of roller coastering around in our mind, going around and around and around that haven't been cleared out from childhood, as well as what we can do is give you the placebo effect, use the placebo effect, which I'm sure you've heard about. That's where a doctor will give a patient a sugar pill, and it has the same effect as, say, an antibiotic. Right. It's a documented, very well documented scientific fact. So what we do with the hypnosis is, as well as fixing all of the negative habits that people have about eating and overcoming a lot of the emotional issues, what we're able to do is use the placebo effect to make people believe that they've had the surgery done. Now, if you just believe you've had the surgery done without having all of the negative incisions done and all of the physical damage done that those surgeries create, just the belief itself will actually change how you view food. When your stomach feels smaller, you will naturally eat less. And that's what our program does. It's amazing.
So basically, when it's over with, as you're going through the sessions, your mind is really saying, yeah, we just went through gastric bypass surgery and everything is going to be fine. So you're actually tricking yourself into thinking that actually happened, but you don't have any of the negative side effects.
Precisely. And it's not even just tricking yourself. It is actually something that's just built into human evolution. So you're using what is naturally there within your mind in order to make the changes you really want. It's a very natural approach rather than having all the side effects and all the risks.
And I assume that what you're doing, if I'm trying to lose 10 pounds, it would work. If you're trying to lose 120 as you did, it will work for that as well.
Absolutely. No matter if you need to lose 10 pounds or 120 pounds or 200 pounds, the habits that you need to instill are still the same. You need to be able to eat slower. You need to be able to pick healthier foods to eat, and you need to drink more water. So we want to make sure that we put all of those healthy habits in there, as well as making you feel like you don't need to eat as much because your stomach is smaller.
If somebody is listening and they're saying, I really like this, I'd like to get more information, and that's simple to address. You go to gastrichypnoballoon.com. But they're going, I think he said that he was in Santa Monica, California, and I'm Santa Barbara, California. I'm located on the East Coast. I can't get there. You do sessions by long distance as well?
Yeah, 95% of my business I do over the phone because people all over the place need help. And obviously I'm in Santa Barbara, so I can't help everybody out there without actually working mostly over the phone and Skype.
And if you need information, again, gastrichypnoballoon.com, is the website to go to. How about long-term benefits?
Long-term benefits are amazing. Any type of weight loss where you can maintain it is a tremendous help to your health. Now, most of the problem with most weight loss programs is people tend to lose the weight fairly easily, but then they end up gaining it back. And every time you end up gaining the weight back, it really affects your health. It actually increases your risk of cardiac arrest and liver problems and other things. So unfortunately, this was one of the reasons I made sure to, in this program I have, to make sure to have a session which basically made sure that you keep the weight off long term. Because if you just lose the weight and gain it back, it's not going to do you any good. It actually is going to hurt you in the long run. I gained and lost 70 pounds twice before I started using my own program and my audio program, which we have online as well. That way anybody can download the program from anywhere in the world as well. They don't even need to call me directly. They can actually work on the program right from online. And it'll keep the weight off permanently, and that's what really matters.
Is one of the major benefits, with gastric bypass, when it works, it really doesn't change much of anything. In fact, your body just shuts down when you've had too much food. Is a benefit with what you're doing with the gastric hypnoballoon program, the fact that the mind is actually changing and you really are satisfied mentally and physically when you finish a meal?
Absolutely. One of the problems with the gastric bypass surgery is many patients end up being malnourished. And if you end up being malnourished, you end up with osteoporosis problems, you end up with memory problems, you end up with a whole lot of energy problems, energy production problems, where you just don't have the energy to get through the day. Now, if you change your entire mindset about food, then you'll start eating healthy foods, so your energy will actually increase. Your self-esteem will go up because you know you've actually done it yourself rather than just kind of covered over the problems as the gastric bypass. So with an increased self-esteem, a better outlook on your own life, just feeling better, because people base their life on how they feel. If you feel good, the rest of your life tends to be pretty good. Now, when you feel bad, you start attracting negative things because you start looking at the world through a negative lens and you start looking for negative things. Now, just by changing your mindset, number one, changing your mindset on the stress so you have more discipline, you feel better about yourself. Losing the weight, people will look at you like you're a new person because people who are overweight are unfortunately looked at as lazy and unproductive. And that's, again, one of these scientific studies of society. And unfortunately, that's just how it is. People who are overweight are somewhat prejudiced against.
We got about a minute left in the program. We'll have to have Ryan back because there's so many more things to talk about. But it's interesting when you talk about a new person, you've got sort of like the 8 steps, the 8 elements that you go through. You actually talk about motivation to move. You talk about self-confidence. You talk about stress, maintaining your ideal weight. So it's more than just forcibly losing the weight. It basically is carving that new person.
It is absolutely creating the new person. because many people, they get comfortable on where they are. So if you're used to being overweight and you're used to how the world looks at you, making that change can sometimes be difficult. A lot of people lose the weight and they're not comfortable with how they look now. They're not comfortable with how other people perceive them. And that discomfort actually makes them gain the weight back just because it's something new. People have an ingrained fear of change, and hypnosis helps make the change naturally without triggering that fear whatsoever. Since hypnosis is a natural process, it automatically changes your behaviors and changes your feelings about them at the same time.
You're listening to This Week in America. Our guest has been Ryan Camana. He spent over 20 years perfecting the art of hypnosis and personal development. He's the creator of the gastric hypno balloon program. That's what we've been talking about, basically the benefits of gastric bypass surgery without the risk. His website is gastrichypnoballoon.com. You can, of course, go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and link up with Ryan's website as well to get information. Ryan, a fascinating program. I thank you so much for sharing that with us and look forward to having you back on the program.
Thank you, Rick, so much. And if I could, I would like to offer your listeners an incredible discount. If they enter the code SUPER120, again, that's SUPER120, they'll get an 80% discount on my program. This is just for your listeners alone. So I just want to make sure that's going out. Since I lost 120 pounds, I want to make sure that I can help as many people do that as well. So again, the discount code is SUPER120.
That is perfect. Ryan, thank you so much for that. Thank you for the information. You're listening to This Week in America and the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network.